How's it going, everybody? It's Warren. Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder, where we talk all things Marvel and Marvel Cinematic Universe. And lately, Kevin Feige, the president of Marvel Studios, has been doing a lot of interviews. Now, these interviews are for the WandaVision series coming out this Friday, but of course, media outlets and fans are asking Kevin Feige about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, all of the things we want to know, and in this video, I'll go over all of what he said and go over Marvel's plans for the next 7 to 8 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In this video, I'm going to go over each new team that is coming, when to expect them arrive in the MCU, the projects that haven't been announced yet that are coming that you may not know about, what the entire Marvel lineup looks like and what it builds to, the villains that we're going to see, and the next Avengers Endgame event that is going to be bigger than Endgame itself. So if you love the MCU, this is the video for you, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my latest videos. So to start out, there is one very interesting comment that Kevin Feige recently made a couple of days ago in an interview. Kevin Feige, when asked by comicbook.com if he could tell us when the end of Phase 4 was, he said no. Which is very interesting because many different projects have been announced at this point. But Kevin Feige can't tell us that that's it for Phase 4. The rest is coming in Phase 5. That means that there are most likely unannounced projects coming that are going to be a part of Phase 4 as well. Now, if you missed Disney's Investor Day where Marvel announced a ton of new projects, very quickly, here are the projects they announced. The new projects coming on top of what was already announced for Phase 4 is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I Am Groot coming to Disney+, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, Armor Wars coming to Disney+, Ironheart coming to Disney+, Secret Invasion, Moon Knight, She-Hulk and the Hawkeye series coming to Disney+, and Captain Marvel 2. A new recap series called Marvel Legends, which already has the first 2 episodes out about Wanda and Vision, and the Fantastic Four. And on top of that, we do have some projects that were revealed to be in development at Marvel Studios. Projects that have not been announced yet to the general public by Marvel. And these films or Disney Plus shows, it's not clarified, are Nova, Secret Warriors, Ghost Rider, The Illuminati, Nomad, and The Young Avengers. So how exactly is all of this going to come together in Marvel's plans? Well, there are 6 very important milestones that Marvel is going to go through until we eventually get to that Avengers Endgame event again. And if you're wondering if Marvel really does have the next 5 to 10 years planned out, yes they do, and Kevin Feige has recently confirmed that. Kevin Feige recently said in an interview, to varying degrees of specificity, it's always about 5 to 6 years out versus what we've announced, so whatever that takes us to. Now, Marvel Studios has announced films up to what we estimate to be 2023, so add 5 to 6 years to that, Marvel Studios has planned out the MCU to about 2028 or 2029. And there are going to be many different movies and shows coming out from Marvel Studios, but again, it's going to hang on 6 major points. And the first one of those 6 major events is the introduction of the X-Men. This is going to be a huge milestone for Marvel Studios. Fox no longer owns the X-Men properties, Disney and Marvel Studios does, and they're now going to incorporate them into their super successful interconnected universe known as the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, as far as how the X-Men are going to be introduced and built up, all evidence points to mutants being introduced before the actual X-Men team. Some individual mutants will kind of get their own stories until we are eventually introduced to the actual X-Men team. And it looks like the X-Men are going to be introduced a lot sooner than we thought. And this was revealed by the one and only Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige in a recent interview. In the interview, he was asked this question. We know with Monica Rambeau in WandaVision, her character connects into Captain Marvel 2, and that series connects to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Is WandaVision a ramp to the revival of X-Men you're planning? In which he replied, in hindsight, in 5 years, if when we're talking about everything that's happened, everything can be a ramp to everything. Specifically though, yes. Monica and Captain Marvel 2, and specifically to Wanda teaming up with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So Kevin Feige himself kind of did just confirm that the X-Men are going to start to be set up as early on as in the WandaVision series. Now, there's a lot of speculation and theories that we could go through on how this actually happens, and I will, but in other videos. The bottom line here is that the X-Men are going to be a huge staple of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and ultimately be a part of Marvel's main plan. The next huge milestone for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be the introduction of the Fantastic Four. Now, the Fantastic Four are going to be introduced differently than the X-Men. The X-Men are going to be introduced one-on-one and then come together as a group, but the Fantastic Four are going to be introduced as a group together. Then periodically in the MCU, they're going to work with other heroes and other groups randomly. Now, of course, in the MCU, it's not going to be random, it's going to be grouped together by a series of events, but they're going to work here and there with different people and different groups. Spider-Man, possibly Doctor Strange, Bruce Banner, She-Hulk, and of course some of the X-Men as well. And actually, the Fantastic Four and WandaVision share one thing in common, and that is Agatha Harkness. In the comics, not only does Agatha Harkness at one point teach Wanda how to grow and harness her powers, she is also the babysitter and watcher of Franklin Richards, the son of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, the Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic. So everything is connected. The next major milestone is going to be the next Avengers team, who we refer to right now as the New Avengers. Now, of course, there are going to be new characters introduced that we don't know about yet that will join the New Avengers, and of course there are going to be characters that we already know who are going to be a part of the team as well, such as Sam and Bucky, hopefully the Scarlet Witch if everything works out for her, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Captain Marvel, and hopefully more. Then another major milestone is going to be the Young Avengers. Now at this point, we pretty much know who the Young Avengers team is going to be, and it's going to get started with WandaVision, with Wanda and Vision's twin boys, Wiccan and Speed. We've seen them in the previews already, so they're coming in a couple of days. Then you have people like Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter, who could go on to be Stature, Kate Bishop, Miss Marvel, Harley Keener from Iron Man 3 and at the end of Avengers Endgame there, and hopefully a few more. This is going to be huge because it's another Avengers team, and they're going to take on very different villains than the New Avengers, the X-Men, and the Fantastic Four. And speaking of villains, the villains are going to be the fifth major milestone of Marvel Studios. We have one major villain coming that Marvel Studios has already confirmed, and another insanely huge villain that Marvel has already teased, but they haven't come out and said who it is yet. And these two villains are Kang the Conqueror and Mephisto. And of course, the ones who haven't been teased yet are Doctor Doom and Galactus. Now, Marvel already announced that Kang the Conqueror is going to be in Ant-Man Quantumania, but we have recent reports stating that he might actually debut in the Loki series. And in the Loki teaser trailer, there are some Easter eggs for Kang, but there's also a very huge Easter egg and huge visual for Mephisto. If we take a look right here at this scene in the Loki trailer, we can see Owen Wilson's character, and in the background there's a stained glass portrait of what looks to be Satan, and Satan in the MCU is going to be Mephisto. He is the ruler of the Hell Realm and the Marvel world. This is pretty much as big of an Easter egg as it gets for the villain. And make no mistake, Mephisto is one of the greatest Marvel villains ever, having connections to, just to name a few, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, the Scarlet Witch, and the other major villain coming, Doctor Doom. Now, with the Fantastic Four, of course, comes Doctor Doom. He's a classic Fantastic Four villain, but he's also a classic Marvel villain in general. And again, he already has a lot of ties of what's going to happen within the next few years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then, of course, many different insiders have been reporting Galactus for over a year now. But he will most likely be saved for that huge Avengers Endgame event that I keep speaking about, and that is going to be Avengers Secret Wars. Now, the introduction of the multiverse and how exactly it's going to play a part in the MCU is already confirming that Marvel's plans are indeed to build up to Secret Wars, an event where essentially the multiverse itself blows up and different universes collide into one. We're kind of already seeing this with all of the reports and rumors we're getting for Spider-Man 3. Jamie Foxx's Electro, Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, and of course all of the others mentioned, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, Kirsten Dunst's MJ, are all going to be coming together in Spider-Man 3. And then of course we know that the universe is going to kind of blow up in Multiverse of Madness, and it looks like it's Marvel's plan to eventually have all of these universes start to fuse together, which will eventually give us Secret Wars. Now in this event, you combine every single milestone that I mentioned before: the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the New Avengers team, the Young Avengers team, even the villains get together as well. And not just the ones that exist in our universe, but the ones that exist in other different universes as well. So you have multiple Iron Man running around, multiple Captain America, Thor, multiple versions of the Fantastic Four, of the X-Men, and on and on. All of the villains team up together and all of the heroes team up together, but in the comics, ultimately, it would be Doctor Doom who would end up controlling the battle world. That's where we were introduced to God Emperor Doom, one of the strongest and most powerful villains to ever exist in the Marvel Universe. And these milestones are all going to lead to this one huge, insanely major event. And it's definitely going to be an event that could top Avengers Endgame, especially with the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and all of these different versions of characters combining into one movie. Or 2 or 3 different movies. It'll definitely take 2, but who knows, they could even do 3. But this is Marvel's master plan. These are the steps that they're going to take to eventually get to Secret Wars. There's going to be a lot that happens in between these events and the handful of years that are to come, but this is the game plan. So, if you love Marvel and want to stay up to date on all of this, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. Let me know your thoughts on all of these different major events in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video, and if you want live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.